The hour of 7:30 has arrived. I'd like to call to order this business meeting of District 116 for Tuesday, April 16th, 2019. Roll call, please.
Board Member Hall. Here. Board Member Pulaski.
Here.
Board Member Patton is here. Vice President Rollins-Gay. President Dimmitt.
Here. We do have a quorum present. We are aware that we have two individuals that will be joining us. Just they'll be late tonight, so they're on their way. We do have a correction to this evening's agenda in that item 11.7 is not ready for us, and so it will be removed from the agenda. Any other additions or corrections to this evening's agenda?
No.
Seeing none, we'll go ahead and with commendations and recognitions, Tiger Spotlight.
All right, Guadalupe, would you mind? Thank you. Shauna is not here. So wherever you want, this is good. Yeah, that'll be great. Thank you very much. If you want to sit, you can if you like as well. All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay.
So we'll begin with the first Tiger Spotlight. Okay. Sorry, I'm filling in. Rookie move, I'm sorry. We'll begin with Asia Capel. She is a junior at Urbana High School, has had many honors and awards during her high school career. 2019 honors and awards, 24 under 24 leaders and innovators in STEAM and Space Award, Sween Next Community Innovator Award, Prudential Spirit of Community Award and Scholarship, Illinois' Top High School Youth Volunteer, President's Volunteer Service Award, Courage to Grow Scholarship, First Dean's List Finalist, National Center for Women and Information Technology, which is the NCWIT Aspirations in Computing National Award and Scholarship, NCWIT Central Illinois Aspirations and Computing Award 2019 and 2018, Illinois Association of Gifted Children's Distinguished Student Award and Scholarship. In addition to her Urbana High School academic rigor, she is also enrolled in Arizona State University and Arizona Prep Digital Academy. Asia will graduate from Urbana High School at the age of 16 and intends to attend Rose Hulman Institute of Technology, studying mechanical engineering with a minor in robotics.
My name's Caleb. I'm here representing. Oh, my microphone. Sorry. I'm here representing my company Prudential to deliver this medal. Thank you. Sorry. To deliver this medal. We don't give this medal out to just anyone, so I would like to say you've achieved something special here. We give this out to people who really work hard, who for the community, for what they want to achieve. I won't ramble on too much more, but it's just thank you.
You can clap. Thank you. I did ask Asia to say a few words. Now, do you want to sit down? You got paper? Okay. Yeah. All right. I might even hold it for you, Asia. Okay. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Dear Mom and Dad, teachers, mentors, and all my friends and supporters, I am a different thinker. I never quite fit in the box we call traditional school. I want to thank you because I no longer feel ashamed, embarrassed, unequal, disapproved, fearful, angry, and helpless. You saw my many strengths and structured your class to play towards those strengths and mitigate my weaknesses. You understood my learning differences robbed me of time. You never made me feel like something was wrong with me. I never felt I was disappointing you. I didn't know if I could give you what you expected. I was not like them. You never assumed things about me. You asked me and talked to me. You helped me help myself. I always tried incredibly hard to be successful in your class, in your school. I needed you to hear me, accept me, embrace me, encourage me, and truly believe in me and my different. You did, and look at me now. I always knew you would never be sorry. I asked for your help. You asked me how best for me to do it, and then supported me. And you were happy, and I knew how I learned. You were happy that I knew how I learned best, and then you let me. You let me do it my way, with your love and support, and look at me now. Thank you all for everything.
During this school year, students from UHS submitted over 100 works of art into 5 different art shows. Ms. Lagerstam is proud to announce that Urbana students had a number of winning entries. In the Small Works Art Show at U of I, Celia Barberry won the Judge's Choice Award. Kaylee Krishnan, Aaron Gable, and Owen Robinson won honorable mentions. At the Central Illinois High School Art Exhibit in Bloomington, Kia Thompson won the category award for photography, Xavier Geigner won the category award for design, and Isabel Gibb won recognition from NIU to attend their summer camp. In the Milliken High School Art Show, Lily Hall won Best 3D, and Lucas Lucero won an honorable mention. Lucas Lucero won an honorable mention at the Eric Show as well. 41 pieces were entered into the Regional Scholastic Art and Writing Competition. 9 students won awards. Jenny Hernandez won the Joanne Gross Scholarship for her portfolio. Miranda Kowalski and Emily Yan won honorable mentions. Cora Welch and Janice Aldana won honorable mentions for their senior portfolios. Lucas Lucero won a Silver Key. Caleb Dixon, Jasmine F., and Joseph Kahn won Gold Keys, the highest honor regionally. Winners who received Gold Keys moved on to the national competition for further judging, where Caleb Dixon and Joseph Kahn won silver medals. The students have 2 more shows coming up: the AP Studio Art Show in the Link Gallery and the UHS Student Art Show in the UHS Library.
Yeah, so the students that are here, I'll just call their name. There's also a slideshow presentation of their work when I call your name, if you come up and shake hands. So Owen Robinson. Kaya Thompson, one for photography. Xavier Geigner. Lily Hall. Lucas Lucero. Miranda Kowalski. And Cora Welch. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the other art colleagues that I have, Miss Roberta Westerman and Rachel Miller, who also help support and encourage these young artists. And thank you to the parents for coming out tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you.
The next recognition we have is for Urbana High School teacher Amanda Perez. Not sure if she's here tonight. She was selected to participate in the Illinois Career and Technical Education an Innovative Curriculum Resources Project 2019 Exemplary Teacher Program. Ms. Perez was selected as one of the Illinois exemplary professionals based on one or more of the criteria. The goal of the Exemplary Teacher Program is to foster the development of teacher leaders who can effectively share their expertise with others. And the next recognition we have, the Cena y Ciencias, which is Supper and Science, is a collaborative scientific outreach program in the bilingual community of the Urbana Public School District. Conceptualized by the Parent Advisory Council of the Dual Language Program at Leal Elementary School in 2013, Cena y Ciencias is a collaboration between DLP parent faculty members of the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, the UIC Society of the Advancement of Chicanos and Native American Scientists, which is SACNAS, and the U of I Extension 4H Youth Development Program to provide high-quality science lessons for students of the program, as well as academic family engagement. Cena y Ciencias is funded by the National Science Foundation and has been funded by the Program of Ecology, Evolution, and Conservation, and the National Center for Supercomputing Applications. The key components of Cena y Ciencias are hypothesis-driven lessons, interactive instruction in small groups, collaborative learning, scientific literacy, development of scientific leadership among historically underrepresented minorities, academic family engagement in Spanish. The names of parents, partners involved with Cena y Ciencias, and if you want to stand up and come up, if you are here, is Pam Peña Martin, Joaquin Rodriguez, Jorge Olivares, Isamar Pastrana, Mariela Sáenz, Ricardo Diaz, Alex Palmer, Felipe Manento, Rachel Whitaker, Steve Wald, and Lisa Buyan Diaz. The organizations that they represent are the U of I Extension, SACNAS, NSF, 4H, NCSA, and MRSEC. The names of staff members involved are Spanish dual language parent liaisons, which are Noemi Campos and Luisana Hernandez.
Wait for the picture. This all began because parents said we need to involve the monolingual Spanish parents. We did a homework club, we did food, we did whatever until we finally did it. If you bring pizza, all the kids come and they drag their parents and we end up doing something really good. So parents trying to help other parents, it feels good. Next item on our agenda is citizen statements. If anyone wishes to address the board this evening, if they could please fill out a goldenrod sheet and provide it to our recording secretary. We have none at present, so I'll ask once again. Any citizen wish to address the board this evening? While you're thinking that through, would like to recognize our student that's helping us with the filming tonight to make sure that folks can see us at home, Darian Younger and Halliday. So thank you very much, senior in Urbana. Seeing no one wishes to address the board, we'll go ahead and move on. We have no call for an exec session tonight after the meeting. We do need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. We have no policy review nor communications tonight. We do have 2 reports. So we'll start with our projected 2019-2020 budget report. Carol.
It's hard to say, isn't it? 2019-20. At your place, I provided a one-pager for the budget, and there's also some over on the table for those in the audience that may want to grab that. Just wanted to give you a quick snapshot tonight. This will not be the last time you see this. I just wanted to bring it back earlier than normal, just so the board could kind of see where we stand currently. This is obviously early yet in the budget stages. Lots of unknowns to be filled in here yet, so just kind of wanted to give you a quick glimpse at it tonight. Some of this will look familiar because we've talked about some of these items when we looked over the projection for the current year's budget. Some of those items that were affecting the 18-19 budget were one-time expenditures that we had. Other ones were things that are going to continue on for next year. Other ones were things that we added just for this year that we're going to stop. So just to start at the top, the increase in real estate taxes is a very, very conservative estimate. As you know, we've talked a lot about possibly moving some of our tax revenues into O&M to help the O&M deficit. So I didn't want to, we're still going to have discussions about that, so I wanted to make sure that I didn't overestimate what we were going to have in real estate taxes, knowing that we might be moving some of those funds over into the O&M fund. The evidence-based funding, tier funding, that is what we received last year in tier funding. We probably won't know what we'll get this year until maybe August. But for now, I'm going to estimate last year's because that's the best guess I have at this time. It could be that we, I suppose, may not receive any, but we will at least get what we got last year under evidence-based funding. So that $300,000 is a hopeful estimate, but hopefully I will know more in the coming months about that. The increase in interest earnings and the early childhood grant, the building reimbursement were 2 items that were in the current year budget that we're also going to change for next year's budget. So the bottom line is about a net increase of $725,000 in revenues at this time. And in the increases for expenses, I didn't include any salary increases at this time just because we are in the midst of discussions about that and I didn't want to put anything in there. So this budget projection you see does not include anything for salary increases, which we know will probably have something there. The insurance increase is also estimated at 0, and we're hopeful that that's going to stay that way. We've had some negotiations with our insurance carrier, so we're very happy about that. As far as the additional FTEs, I did just explain them down below. You can see what the positions are that we currently are looking at adding. Special ed, middle school and high school reading positions, fine arts, UHS consumer ed, and then the Yankee Ridge French DL were also, these are things that, some of them have been discussed. If there's any questions, we'll be happy to answer those, but those are ones that are currently being looked at, mostly for numbers, just the number of kids that we have coming through. Clinical professionals, this is one that, you know, we included in Title I last year that bumped out a lot of things from Title I, so we're looking at moving that back into the district so that we can have some things added back to Title I that were traditionally Title I type expenses for materials and things. We're hopefully going to be able to move some family liaison positions that were district funded into Title I, so there will be kind of a swap there. And a lot of this is going to get more tied down as we get closer and start seeing what our allocations actually are for Title I and what we can do with that. So this will change as time goes on as well. We did not replace the PD director position in FY19 budget. We're hoping to be able to add that back for next year as well. There were 2 network staffs that were not replaced, that left, that we chose not to replace last year, that we've already replaced them now. I mean, it's kind of just recently those have been added back in. You'll see a couple of those actually on the agenda this evening. The storefront, you might recall in the 18-19 budget when we presented that, it wasn't a true increase in storefront because of cash flow issues with adult ed. We've always paid them in arrears, so we've always paid them for our students that attend adult ed after the year's over, and they wanted to change that so that we would pay in advance, and then they will do an adjustment at the end of the year if it's different. So this 1 year that we made that change, we doubled up. We paid them for last year, and then we also paid them ahead for next year, or for the current year. So this is the 1 year where we had 2 years of expenses in 1 year. That will not be the case next year. We'll go back to just 1 year's of expenses in the year. So that's why that is going down. The Teacher in Restorative U was a budget add that the board approved this year, so that's going to be a full year of that teacher for next year. The increased costs for alternative ed are homebound expenses and due to the increased alternative ed from the board's aware of. And also these next few are the ones we've added back in the current year, the additional SRS for the UMS kiosk, additional lunch supervision at the high school. We did want to put in, we're having more translation services that are needed, and we haven't really had a budget line for that in the past, so we wanted to make sure that that was taken care of. And the restorative practices that we do with Elaine Spungen, we wanted to make sure that that was continued for next year. That was not in the budget this year. We had to pay for that from working cash because it was one of those that came out late that I wasn't aware of it for this year's budget, so we want to make sure that that's actually in the budget for next year. So with those increases, it's looking at this point that we have about a deficit of about $716,000. But as you know, this is kind of just a snapshot, so I wanted you to see where we were, so there weren't any surprises. I will bring this back again next month. I think it's something we can continually just keep looking at. Hopefully, things will start to be clear as time goes on, and hopefully have better news, but right now, this is where we are. Any questions?
And this deficit is before any of our normal annual salary increases and budget increases, insurance increases.
And I want to point out, too, it's before retirements, too. I didn't take into account any retirements. Usually when I get the salaries, I always net those retirements in with the salary increases, so any savings we would have from retirements would go against that increased cost for salary increases to help with that.
I have a question. Are those policies that were just put in place by the governor as it relates to education, are some of those policies, they were in Saturday's paper, they listed, and some revolved around the schools. Are all these programs still going to accommodate some of the policies? They were SBs, and they listed all the laws and policies that were going to be set as bills.
I didn't
Like
see
the
that.
minimum salary, I mean, like there was one about minimum salary.
Oh.
Yeah, but the other
And,
ones, I don't think
yeah,
they
so I'm
budgeted
just wondering,
locations.
based on what you all are saying, because I won't be here, so that's why I'm getting an answer from you tonight. Is that going to impact you all? So I'm just saying that's something you need to look at, because there are a lot of bills, and some go around mental health, but a lot of them are going around some school items too, so.
Yeah, I think a number of those things, we have to have almost a wait and see to make
Okay.
sure that it
That they
actually gets
pass.
through. And then we'll have to make some adjustments. But yeah, the one that everybody kept talking about was the increase, and actually we've had conversation about that, the 40,000 as far as starting teacher salary and how they were basically going to stagger that. I think for the first few years, I don't think we'll have a problem, and I don't think even when it goes to 40,000, I'm sorry, Gail, what were you saying?
No, we're not impacted with that.
Okay, so we won't have to worry about that.
But a lot of the rest of them,
Yeah.
it's really, we have
Yeah.
to make sure it gets through the legislative process, and comes in to being, and
Right.
usually they give you a little delay time before it takes effect, so. But thank you for pointing that out.
So Carol, I know this doesn't take into effect any additional increase that we hope to receive from the new evidence-based funding formula, and I know that's an unknown, but, you know, the governor did say he was increasing the amount for that line, so that's potentially possible. We might get more than that 300,000 next year.
Hopefully, yes.
But are there other grants that we typically get that aren't reflected in the revenue side of what you've presented?
This 10 fund is not the grant fund. We have a separate fund that's our grant fund. And the reason I've separated that out in the past is because with the grants, whatever revenue you have, the expenses are always equal. And it's just easier to keep those separate because hopefully whatever money we're getting in, we're going to spend that, and that shouldn't impact the education fund.
Okay.
Now, where the grants will help is if we get some grants that maybe could take some things that the district is paying for and be picked up by a grant. Most of these federal grants, you can't do that. Supplanting, so it's, but we will, we're always looking at our grants to see if there's things that we can swap or do anything with that might help the education fund budget.
Like the early childhood grant, I know the new one this year allowed us to hire some parent support staff. I mean, are we expecting that?
Not anticipating that this year,
We
as far
aren't?
as I'm concerned. I mean, none that I know of.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So what this kind of is as a couple of board members have been suggesting over the last several months, that we're going to have to take a very, very close look at our expenditures, that some of the things that we were concerned about in terms of adding ongoing expenses to our budget wasn't in alignment with our ongoing revenue increases, and was going to cause us difficulties down the road. And so the chickens are coming home to roost. And I think what this is an initial shot across the bow that the board may have to be doing some hard thinking about budget issues in the near future.
Unfortunately, with the state, it seems like we're always reacting, so, because it's always so late in the game that we find out how much additional funding we're going to get, so it's, by the time we've done that, it's after we've already done the ripping, and so it's something we'll be dealing with in the coming year.
But some of
After we
this is
find
of
out.
our own making by
Adding positions.
adding things that cost money continually, which means staff and programs, without having corresponding revenue to cover it.
True.
All right.
Can I just ask, this deficit, projected deficit, and I know it's projected, how does that relate to, compared to what we were looking at moving into last year and the year before? I mean, just roughly speaking.
Well, last year, we had about this amount of deficit. That's what we budgeted, and as you know, because of the things we added, we had more than that.
Yeah.
But the budget was about 700,000 deficit last year,
Okay.
so.
And the year before that, do you remember? Has it been, is that a recent phenomenon, or?
I think the year before that, maybe it was $200,000 deficit.
Okay.
Does that sound about right?
Projected, and by the time we get to the end of the year, because we generally underspend many categories, we were in balance for several years,
Right.
and we're moving out of being in balance.
Starting to separate.
And the board does get the board reports every month, so if you want to see a detail of where we're spending and where we have overages and underages, that is all detailed out in your board reports that you get. So if you have questions, let me know.
And those board reports, I know, are on the website. I mean, all the documents for our board meetings, including those reports, are part of what everybody can see.
Posted on the website.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks.
Is that it, Carol?
Yep.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Thank you. Before I move on, I said there were no communications. We actually do have a communication at my place here this evening that I missed, which is a letter from Terry Townsend that he asked for us to all look at. So I'll pass it around and let board members, if you have already seen it, fine, but if you need to look at it, go ahead and look at it. So, all right, back to reports. Superintendent search update.
Would you
Peggy?
like me to give one? Sure. Just a reminder to us and the viewing audience that our consultant School Exec Connect is currently reviewing the superintendent applications using the detailed profile that they developed with all of our input, the one that they shared with the board at our meeting on March 12th. Next Tuesday at 6:30, that's April 23rd, the consultants will present us with 5 to 7 candidates for our consideration. The board will conduct initial interviews of those 5 to 7 candidates,
Which will not be open to the public.
which in a closed meeting next Tuesday at 6:30, right? The board will conduct initial interviews of those 5 to 7 candidates in a closed meeting next Tuesday at 6:30, determine the top 3 for final consideration. At that time, 2 interview committees, one staff administration and one community parent committee, will assist the board in interviewing the 3 finalists, and those final interviews will take place on May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It's our hope to have a candidate in front of the board on May 7th or May 21st for appointment. At that time, Dr. Williams and the newly appointed superintendent will begin the process to review candidates, interview, and hire for the other 2 executive positions, the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and the Assistant Superintendent of Student Learning. So next week's a big week.
And when we narrow it down to 3 finalists, those 3 finalists will be made public. Any other board comments regarding this, regarding Peggy's report? Any questions? All right, thank you. Next, we'll move into our consent agenda for this evening. And our consent agenda includes the minutes of March the 12th business meeting, March the 26th special meeting, April 2nd study session, April 11th special meeting, those 4 sets of minutes. And then February bills and checks, and the reason we have 2 months' worth of bills and checks here is because of spring break. So let's go through that quickly. Our education fund bills in the amount of $1.5 million. Operations and maintenance fund bills in the amount of $142,000. Transportation fund bills in the amount of $187,000. Working cash bonds expenses in the amount of $33,000. Tort in the amount of $45,000. Payroll in the amount of $4.3 million. And adult education in the amount of $106,000. For March, our bills and checks for education fund was $799,000. Operations and maintenance fund bills in the amount of $207,000. Transportation fund bills in the amount of $249,000. Working cash bonds in the amount of $6,000. Tort in the amount of $118,000. Payroll in the amount of $4.3 million. And adult education in the amount of $111,000. There were no interfund loans. We do have various personnel items at our desk. Any that you need to speak to, Gail, or?
No, it's just 7 distinguished teachers that are retiring, and there are some others coming. Just wanted you to know that.
Yes. Appointment of our school auditor, and this is an appointment in the amount of $44,000 for BKD LLP as our auditors. 11.8, the amount, resolution authorizing and directing sale or disposal of personal property, which is mostly books and an old broken down truck. And then a new activity account for driver education. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Does anyone wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? Hearing none, a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Hall?
Yes.
Member Pulaski?
Yes.
Vice President Rollins-Gay? Member Patton?
Yes.
Member Carter votes yes. President Dimmitt?
Yes, motion's carried. Our individual action items this evening begin with our gifts. The Champaign West Rotary Club Charities donated $500 to Urbana Early Childhood to be used for bus tokens for student transportation. Gina Johnson donated 100 books to teachers who attended the Authors Institute Day presentation. Let's make it a habit. Melba and Friends, doing business as Great Commission Support Ministry donated $500 to Urbana High School boys basketball program. And the following donated instruments to Urbana Middle School band program. Lee Trail, a B clarinet, value is not listed. John Hall and Zoe Hall, a UMS student, a 3/4 size violin, and Paul Speaks, a Connor tenor sax. Did I miss? Oh, Summer Signet. That is the brand of clarinet. Champaign Urbana Theater Group donated $500 to Urbana High School Drama Club. CN Railroaders in the Community Employee Grant Program donated $1,000 to UMS Boys Basketball Program in recognition of the volunteer efforts of the family of Marcus Marcus Jackson. And Urbana Adult Education received a anonymous $170 gift for gift certificates. And then the following donated a total of $2,907 to the Sandra Cooper Scholarship Fund. Jean Amberg, Catherine Thurston, Elaine Harmon, Kay and David Grabo, Barbara Hughes and John Taylor, Richard Heller, Gail and Don Black, Marcia Smith, Aaron and Christy Gretsch, Theodore and Jessica Hartke, Sam Banks, Jean Corder, Margaret and Roxanne Rossler, Roger and Sarah Burris, Lori Johnson, Russell and Janet Rosenberger, Kenneth and Barbara Sartain, Mary Beth Norris, Barbara Gillespie, Mark and Leslie Penner, Vern and Elise Fine, Wendy Michaels, Pat Eggy, thank you, Susan Kopus, Nancy DeForge, Dan and Camille Harmon, Gary and Tamara Goodling, Wayne and Deanna Acton, Dolores Lloyd, and the Thomas Paine Social Committee. Continuing on, the HDF group, an anonymous donor, May Pelmore, Mike and Beth Offit, and Donna Oaks Novak. A motion to receive the gifts and send thank you notes would be in order.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Todd, District Consolidated Plan, E-District E-Plan for federal formula grants. I know you presented this last time.
Yes, and
Additional
so
information?
this is the additional information. I did provide the board with a microscopic version of the application that I then took and blew up for you. So it's 23 pages of narrative. The main parts of this are needs assessment, how we involve stakeholders, professional development, that sort of thing for all of our various federal grants. Happy to answer any questions you might have about that narrative or things of those natures.
Board members, any questions? After reading the additional information, I know we discussed this at length last time.
Yeah. Right.
If we're prepared, a motion to approve would be in order.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. We better do roll call on this. I think it might involve expending money at some point.
Yes.
Member Pulaski?
Yes.
Vice President Rollins?
Yes.
Member Patton?
Yes.
Member Carter votes yes. President Demmett?
Yes, motion's carried. Next is our MOU with Hope Springs, between Hope Springs and USD 116. Once again, Todd went over this at our study session. Additional information?
There's no additional information. It is corrected. There are a few typos and things on it, but that's been cleaned up.
Motion would be open for comment. Let's get the motion on the floor, and then we'll do the comment.
A move acceptance of the memorandum of understanding.
And I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Benita?
I just want to applaud you all because you're really.
Microphone turned on, please.
I just want to applaud all the work that you're doing for these kids to get them from point A to Z before they graduate, as far as their social and emotional and some of their cognitive skills. And I think I like where you're starting with it, and then I would like to see it get bigger.
All right.
So my heart goes out when you did that presentation. It just kind of touched me because you all see the need. So I just want to say thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Other comments? Roll call, please.
Member Hall?
Yes.
Member Pulaski?
Yes.
Member Patton?
Yes.
Vice President Rollins Gay? Member Carter votes yes. President Demmett?
Yes. 12.4, not 04, is resolution authorizing honorable dismissal of part-time educational support personnel. Gail?
This has to do with the Urbana adult ed program. We had a contract with Carl Nursing Services to work with our CNA program, and there, we no longer have that contract. So we have to reduce our nursing staff right now. So hopefully, we will find some other ways of getting the CNA program back. And
I just
then-
want, I know Shauna's not here tonight, but she's committed to working towards that end as well.
Right, she is. She is. And we do have a 14-hour person that's working, that's a student engagement advocate, that 14 hours is not enough, so we have to reduce that program, that particular person too, right now.
Okay, so these are legal steps that we have to take because the funding is unsure. And hopefully, things will be rectified once funding becomes clearer. We have a motion?
I move acceptance of 12.4 and 12.5. I mean, Gail talked about both of them.
They're both the same. But
Can we handle them as, we have to handle them as separate motions?
separately.
Okay, then I move acceptance of 12.4.
I'll second that.
All right, moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Hall?
Yes.
Member Pulaski?
Yes.
Vice President Rollins Gay? Member Patton?
Yes.
Member Carter votes yes. President Demmett?
Yes, motion's carried. Similar resolution then for 12.5.
I'll move acceptance of 12.5.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Hall?
Yes.
Member Pulaski?
Yes.
Vice President Rollins Gay? Member Patton?
Yes.
Member Carter, yes. President Demmett?
Yes, motion's carried. 12.6 is appointment of our 2019 Illinois Association of School Boards Delegate Assembly.
And I would like to move that Brenda Carter continue in that role, and I'd asked her earlier if she was interested in doing that. She does a wonderful job and has kind of provided us some stability for the last, what, 4 years?
It's been a long time.
6 years?
It's been longer than that, yeah.
Yeah, that's, okay, so
Really.
8 years. Okay, 8 years. So thank you for your continued leadership. Anyway, that's a motion.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? This one we can do an all in favor.
Thank you
All
for
in favor,
doing it.
say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. You're drafted.
Yeah.
And thank
Brenda.
Ann for being the backup,
That's right. Ann was
being
our backup.
available to do it. You did a great job too, so, yeah.
All right. We have no call at this point. I'm sorry, we do have special meetings occurring with our superintendent search process, which would be next Thursday. Yes, on the 23rd. Forgot what day of the week that is. Tuesday, next Tuesday.
And you know, I should have mentioned earlier, Lori reminded me that next Tuesday, while we have the closed session with our consultants, there will be an open session of the whole board at 5:30 that same night for reorganization of the board.
Yes.
So next Tuesday, April 23rd, there's an open meeting at 5:30, followed by a closed session at 6:30.
It's going to be part of my board report,
Oh,
but now's
sorry.
a good time.
Okay.
We are awaiting the certification by the county clerk of the election, which is currently projected to happen on the 22nd. And then we would have 10 days to reorganize the board after that. But we intend to do it on the evening of the 23rd, while we're all here and able to do so. So Benita, you're not off yet.
Yeah, Benita, this is going to be a big week, Benita.
We'll see you next Tuesday. So, all right. That's it for any call for future special meetings. Superintendent's report.
I had a couple of things I wanted to kind of alert the board to. One is that I received a petition on behalf of Sandra Cooper, Sandy, who was the former principal at Thomas Paine that passed. Also, she worked at Cunningham as well, as far as wanting to honor her. So I did ask Mr. Taylor, Todd Taylor, to form a committee that's part of the board policy as it relates to naming. And he agreed to do that, so he will be forming that committee and then bringing a recommendation to the board at a later date. Okay? And thank you, Mr. Taylor. The other item, once the board kind of gets back together and brings on the new board member, I put at your place what's called board committees. I hadn't been here for a while before December, so I wasn't very familiar what you were and weren't actually doing, but this is board policy, and as a board, you have to adhere to these policies. So I'm putting it at your place now so that you can kind of mull it over yourself, and then at a later date, we will talk about this, or you will talk about this as a board to decide how you want to go about divvying this up. And if some of these things aren't in place now, I don't know. As I say, I was absent. I can't say the dog ate my homework or something like that, but I wasn't a part of it, so I'm not sure what was going on. I simply know that this is still board policy, and as such, we should be adhering to it. When if we aren't, then we need to amend it. So that's kind of your homework, and Benita, you don't really have to worry about it because the final will be after you're gone. So, but everyone else, that's something you should really consider. And other than that, I'm not going to talk about athletic achievements. We'll wait. But there was a record set by the Urbana High School 4x100 that went back to I think 1976, I believe.
77, I think it was
Okay.
76. Yeah, a long time ago.
Okay. And that was quite impressive, and I went over and watched them run. Got to be careful. On a Saturday in Urbana Open, and they're quite a group, and they've got some really strong young runners that are very impressive, to be honest with you. There's some to watch as they go along. It was quite impressive. And we also had a young lady that signed, and I have to pardon me for not getting the name right. I know she's going to Illinois College, and we had the pleasure of being there at the high school, watching her sign her letter of commitment. And I'll make sure next time I'm here, I will mention her name. So she even was willing to take a picture with the superintendent. So anyway, thank you, and that's it for me.
Board members notice that there are names connected to each of these committees. And so as we approach our reorganization work next week, it would be good to begin to coordinate the names with also a look towards that board member being the kind of the key go-to person for particular subject areas as we begin to build agendas in the future, and we have particular items that come up that are connected to these committees. And we'll, for purposes of the public, I think we'll be doing a little bit more overt, really out there work at how we're creating ourselves into the team that will be needed to carry out the work of the board. Not all 7 board members can be experts and specialists in every topic that comes before us, but we can begin to develop that sense of teamwork that comes by having point persons serving on the board in particular, with particular expertise in particular areas that we can then begin to draw upon each other for insights into matters that come before us.
I can say, I wondered what had happened to this, because I had inquired about several other committees. And Preston, I really appreciate you bringing this back up, even though I'm off. This was really, I kept bringing it up and bringing it up and bringing it up, and there, especially.
You weren't the only
with
one.
Yeah, and so Preston just put it on paper and let us know, so I appreciate that.
But we
As a
have to thank
community
Lori
person.
Johnson as
Lori
well,
Johnson.
because some of these committees I had,
I
You
hadn't
know.
been on one in 5 years.
yeah, so,
5 years, I've been here 13, right, 13, 14,
I had just met over the winter with
yeah, so
the
thank
school-based
you.
health center one.
Thank you. So, I'll be watching as a community member while I'm here.
All right, I bet you will.
Just watch.
Although,
All
you know,
right.
before we do take up discussion of these board committees, I mean, we need to find out, there are some that I know just looking at them that no longer meet. I mean, not because we're not meeting with them, but they just no longer are formed. I mean, like the program council is no longer meeting. I mean, I was
Jean,
told
would you
that.
like to address that?
Is that?
Yes, we
Okay.
are taking care of that. It
Oh.
will convene again starting next year.
Okay,
Oh, well, thank you, Dean, for implementing and
You
getting that
thank Miss,
going again.
thank Miss
Yeah.
Smith. She's on
Yes.
top of it and is firmly committed to
okay,
pulling program council back together. And I'm happy to see that.
okay.
That's great.
So are these all set in stone? Do we anticipate possibly adding new ones in?
We can
if
add
need
new
to?
ones, we can consolidate, we can decide if they all require board membership. That's all open to discussion once the 7 members are here. Once Tori has joined us, and we begin to look forward. And my guess is that once we have a new permanent superintendent may have some concepts and ideas that we're going to have to look at. This leads into we're at board reports, and I've just hit it off because this is a direct lead into this. Oh, FOIA requests, I'm sorry.
We have to do that.
Yes, I'm sorry. We're gonna, during board reports, we may even start to hear some ideas about different things that need to be done. FOIA reports. So, Lori, when you were up here with a microphone, you used to read these.
I'll read it. Since
Thank
it's
you.
about that. One from Lindsay Jones, the News Gazette, requesting copies of the 3 resolutions adopted by the USD Board of Education on February 24th, 2019, regarding the reassignment of Don Owen, Kathy Barber, and Sammy Bindum to licensed teacher positions for the 2019-20 school year. One from Deke Mills, all FOIA requests and responses from and to the News Gazette, WCIA, WILL, and Fox, Illinois, from December 1, 2018 to present. And another from him, all email between Brian Lake and the News Gazette, WCIA, WILL, and Fox, Illinois, from October 1, 2018 to present.
Thank you. Board report said, I'd just like to start out that we've had some discussion here about student representation at the board level. The last 2 conferences that I went to, board-related, there was a particular individual who works throughout the country on this particular matter. His name is Derek Peterson. He works out of North Dakota. He is currently working with several school districts in the Indianapolis metropolitan area, as well as a couple of school districts in the Chicago area. There's been an exchange of emails back and forth. He would very much be interested in working with our district to make sure that we do this right. There have been many places in the country that have tried to do this, and it's fallen very flat because it's not been done correctly. Mr. Peterson started in Alaska, Alaska is a very advanced state in terms of student representation on their school boards. They don't have many school boards in Alaska, but to the point where the youth get together between districts to have leadership training, understand what they're supposed to be doing and how they're supposed to do it. There's an involvement with one of the 7 of us. Will become a mentor for that student. It's hard enough. Tori will find out it's hard enough to come to a board as a new adult. Put that in the hands of a 17-year-old or 16-year-old, and it's even more difficult. And so there's the need for some mentoring and some particular training that occurs both at the high school level and amongst us, so that we can make proper, make it to be a proper happening, to be valuable for us and valuable for the student body, and particularly valuable for the student. So my guess is that we've now started that introductory, and it's probably time that we move those discussions to administration, so that a particular contract and relationship can be developed, so that we can get this individual here. It's an advantageous time in that we have a student body that's very interested in this, which sometimes is 90% of the battle. I know the board's ready, and so we hope that we can move that along. I think Derek has shared those emails with several of you, and so hopefully we'll be ready to move forward on this, so that we can get things started as quickly as possible. The other part of my report is, unless someone's going to talk about the play, I'm going to talk about it. Starts on May the 1st, and so I hope everyone is excited about attending that.
Newsies.
It's a musical, right? Yeah.
Yeah. We'll run Wednesday through Sunday, so please make plans. It's a very difficult weekend for us because we'll be doing a lot of
I know.
superintendent,
Exactly.
so
Right.
plan your calendars accordingly, please, board members and public. Other board reports?
I'd like to follow up on the recommendation, or the discussion we had earlier with regards to having an anonymous reporting mechanism. Carol went and actually contacted our auditors, and they actually provide a service that does this completely independently from the district's website. I think it might foster a sense of independence and maybe increased level of security in terms of anonymity. It's a service they offer for a few $1,000s a year. I'd like to, maybe we'll bring it at a future meeting as a discussion topic, if that's okay.
Sure, and Carol, can you work with the auditor company to have a more fleshed out project description and what it would entail, please?
Yeah, they did provide me with some information that I think I gave the board at your place at a previous meeting, but they'd be happy to come and do a short presentation if we just want them to come back and could answer your questions.
I
if you'd
think
like.
I think that would be valuable.
Okay, be short.
This is to provide an avenue for someone who wants to report.
Right.
you
I mean,
know,
this was
questionable-
something that their audit flagged as a hole in our procedures, and this is a way to fill that. They offer a service to do that.
Paul, anything else? Other board members?
I'd like to remind everybody that on April 30th is the Illinois Association of School Boards Illini Division Governing Dinner. It is at 6:30, I believe, at Urbana Gardens. So we talk about different topics and trying to help choose things that are important to us in our division, that what we would like to see at the joint annual conference in Chicago.
So I don't have to go, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Tori, she's passing the baton.
Yeah.
I just wanted to follow up on something I mentioned maybe 2 meetings ago when I was had a discussion about getting information out to families in the district who might need it. just where to go, who to call, if you have questions about the community, things that maybe they don't know if the district can provide, or other service organizations. I met with Linda Gibbons just to talk about what we do as a district, and she was very helpful in telling me, she's a person people can call in general if they don't know exactly if there's a service they need, like, let's say they're new to the district and they don't think the district can help us with housing, for example, or housing assistance, but Linda would be somebody who would be able to direct them. But she also gave me a helpful pamphlet from the United Way. It's called the 211, which is like you can call them up or you can email their website. I was planning on maybe nabbing Scott Dowds if he was here tonight, but I might email him and see if that would be something that he'd be willing to post on the Parents Advocacy Group webpage on Facebook. It's United Way, it's not the district, so the district wouldn't have to worry about maintaining that. It's maintained by this entity, but it is a really helpful resource, and people can always contact our district, contact Linda's office if they have questions, but this is just another way I was hoping to maybe add a layer to people who don't know to go to the district to look up stuff. I know a lot of people, there's a lot of members to the Parents Advocacy Group, so it might be just a little catch-all way to get information out.
I would also say, anytime a parent has a question like that, we have social workers in every building, and they are very well equipped to walk a family through a myriad of challenges that they may be going through. And network. Yeah.
And I want to commend you, they're going outside of it, and that is a good idea with 211, but it's not also locally. It ties in United Ways all across, so it could help somebody that might need some services elsewhere.
Right.
Because certain physicians we don't have now.
Right.
And they are trying to find, and people have to go to Peoria or whatever for different things. So that's a good idea. It's going to be very helpful for the families.
Well,
and Linda is good about that.
She's great about it. And the brochure that we got given, was it Yvonne? Who was it? No, Dion. It was Dion Webster who had prepared it for us. That is a fabulous resource that's available at all the schools, but we don't necessarily want to put it on, say, the Facebook page, because it's something that has to be maintained. And that would be making promises, to people who were consulting it that we may not be able to keep in a timely fashion, whereas the one from United Way, that's an outside entity that they maintain, so we're not at fault if one of those numbers isn't working anymore, so to speak. I don't want to, that I'm not saying this correctly, but it's not ours to maintain, so we feel comfortable with sharing that. But it's just an added layer.
Thank you, because
It's called taking advantage of the community resources available to us.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's great, because parents need to hear that.
Anything else from board members? Motion to adjourn would be in order.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. We are adjourned.